Operation Choke Point is a government initiative designed to intimidate banks from doing business with industries the government considers high risk. This secret program threatens banks with audits, lawsuits, or heightened regulatory scrutiny. 30 industries were targeted, including short-term lenders, telemarketers, and firearms sellers. This operation effectively chokes high-risk businesses from banks, payment processors, and other financial services. Without a bank to deposit money or a payment processor to handle credit card transactions, businesses cannot operate. In 2012, Operation Choke Point was created by the Justice Department under the Obama administration. It is carried out by government agencies like the FDIC and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. The Justice Department says Operation Choke Point is fighting fraud. But in reality, entirely legal and legitimate industries are driven underground or choked out of business.
Hey, good afternoon. It's Forrest Wilson. Welcome to The Resistance. If you haven't heard of Operation Choke Point, I want you to stay tuned because I've got two people that are going to bring you their experience by having their bank accounts shut down and their ability to do business thwarted. You know, we've got the rise of this fourth branch of the federal government, and this time it's really aimed at the Second Amendment. And you have to ask yourself, why is this administration made up of such a group of gun control enthusiasts? The Second Amendment is really one of our most cherished rights, but you can't implement total control, I guess, if you've got a bunch of armed citizens. And you know why I carry a gun? Jack, do you know why I carry a gun? I mean, really.
Yeah. Protection, buddy.
No, not exactly. I carry a gun because, look, a cop's too heavy. And that's the main reason. I can't have police protection all the time. No one can. So I supplement cops' efforts with my own equalizer, a gun. And, you know, the libs are always talking about equality. I mean, everything's about equality. I mean, why can't I have equal arms against thugs? I guess libs are afraid that people like myself are going to foment some type of revolution. Let me tell you something. I don't think we need an armed revolution in this country. Not yet. I think what we need to do is inform the citizens. And by the way, if you'll call in and leave your number, your home address, I won't come visit you, but what I will do is I'll send you a book titled Dynamic Freedoms, our freedom documents, courtesy of We the People 1787. And the book contains things like the Mayflower Compact, the Magna Carta, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. And look, you can share this information with those out there that don't even know what the three legitimate branches of government are. You know, 2/3 of Americans can't even name the three branches of government. All the while, we've got this rise of this fourth branch of government. And I'll get to that, but I want to explain something to the liberals and anybody else listening. The first thing a despot does is try to disarm the populace. He, she, or it. I want to be sensitive to all genders and the gender confused. The first thing he, she, or it does is take away their basic arms so they can't resist. Because remember, look, resistance is futile. I mean, we have this growing administrative state. And there's approximately 500 federal agencies right now. And to put this into perspective, Jack, Florida has 50 state agencies. So we have this challenge to the traditional checks and balances by this fourth branch, this administrative branch. And it's got serious designs on your liberty. I want to read you something from Jonathan Turley. This was in an opinion piece in Washington Post about 2 years ago. The growing dominance of the federal government over the states has obscured more fundamental changes within the federal government itself. It is not just bigger, it's dangerously off-kilter. Our carefully constructed system of checks and balances is being negated by the rise of a fourth branch, an administrative state of sprawling departments and agencies that govern with increasing autonomy and decreasing transparency. Now, I'm going to tell you who Jonathan Turley is, but he goes on. For much of our nation's history, the federal government was quite small. In 1790, it had just 1,000 non-military workers. In 1962, there were approximately 2,500,000 federal employees. Today, we've got over 2,800,000 federal workers in 15 departments, 69 agencies, and 383 non-military sub-agencies. Now, Jonathan Turley is a liberal. This is commentary from a liberal. And now he's not your typical liberal, the uninformed, entitled, arrogant liberal, and ignorant. No, Jonathan Turley is the Shapiro Professor of Public Interest Law at George Washington University, my alma mater. You see, even some libs agree, at least those that believe in the Constitution. Jonathan Turley is considered a constitutional expert. Unlike Barack Obama, our government is completely out of control, according to Jonathan Turley, and it's intimidating businesses, banks, automakers, insurers. I mean, it's intimidating everyone. Look at what's happened in the past 20 years or so. And look, I don't care what the numbskull at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue has done. Let's go back before that. And I don't want to bash him because this bumbling fool, and here I go. But it's boring for me to bash Barack Obama. The federal government has and will continue to meddle in every relationship, endeavor, and condition of our human existence as it relates to we the people. They're everywhere, in every circumstance, and in every relationship, whether it's what you consume. I mean, there's all sorts of things regarding what you can consume. I'm talking about eating. Who you marry, your doctor relationship, what your kids are taught. Look at this common core they're trying to inflict on the country. I mean, they're everywhere and growing. Mike Lee. Mike Lee's a Utah senator. He's a Republican. He is considered, according to Conservative Review, as one of the most conservative members of Congress. And I really admire this guy. And on his website, he says, in 2014, 3,291 pages of new laws were passed by Congress, the branch of government with constitutional authority to make law, and signed by the president. During the same period, unelected bureaucrats at dozens of federal departments and agencies issued 79,066 pages of new and updated regulations. I mean, think about that for a minute. Our Congress, the people that represent us, actually passed 3,291 pages of new laws, and these unelected bureaucrats, through the Federal Register, dozens of federal departments, put up 79,066 pages. And these rules, according to Mr. Lee, many are inefficient, ineffective, and excessive. They continue to limit the ability of small businesses and workers to succeed and rig the system to benefit connected insiders and hurt hardworking American families through higher costs and limited options in the marketplace. Take Operation Choke Point for an example. I've spoke about this before. Choke Point is an effort by Eric Holder and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation to shut down firearms industry by cutting off credit from gun dealers and eliminating credit card processing for the Second Amendment community. Although Holder, under pressure, removed guns from the list of quote-unquote, high-risk industries that included pornographers, drug paraphernalia, and payday lenders, he's apparently using Choke Point to destroy gun dealers on a case-by-case basis. So you've got the FDIC running around and intimidating banks to shut down these legitimate gun dealers. Many of them are in the gun and pawn business. And when I come back, I want to bring in some people who've experienced this firsthand at the hands of.
Can water give you the gift?
What are you doing, Jack? You're pushing buttons and sweating at the hands of banks like SunTrust. But I want to get into that when I get back, and I want you to hear what a couple of gun and pawn dealers have to say about this. And I've got them back with me on the Resistance here. You're listening to AM 600, FM 100.3, WBOB, The Answer. Jack, are you okay? Can we take a break? You're waving your hand. 1 minute. Come on.
Let's return to We the People with Forrest Wilson. Once again, here's Forrest.
Okay, I want to play a clip. This is Judge Napolitano speaking with Stuart Varney on the Fox News Channel. And I want you to listen to what Napolitano has to say about Operation Choke Point. Go ahead, Jack. Play that clip.
But this is purely political. This is purely the government making a moral judgment. The executive branch of the government, not the legislative. Difference is profound.
Yes.
That because we morally object to what you do, guns, ammunition, hookah bars and certain tobacco processors. We're going to pressure your banks, which we regulate, to make your ability to borrow money so expensive that you'll go out of business. If the government wants to do that, it would be necessary for the Congress to rewrite the laws. And most of those laws would be unconstitutional because these businesses in and of themselves are perfectly lawful, consistent with the Constitution. They just run against the political strain of this administration.
So what the Injustice Department is doing with this Operation Choke Point is intimidating banks to shut down the operation of legitimate businesses by closing bank accounts, credit accounts, and third-party payment systems, otherwise known as credit card processing. And a bank you may be familiar with, SunTrust, has been doing just that. I want to bring in Steve Champion of American Gun and Pawn, located in Brooksville, Florida. Steve, welcome to the Resistance.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Now, you actually had this happen. You had a bank account with SunTrust. How long had you been doing business with SunTrust, Steve?
We're just at 1 year.
Okay, and you are in the gun and pawn business. In fact, the name of your company is American Gun and Pawn.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
Well, I mean, basically, like I said, we've been in business about a year. Everything was going fine with the bank. By the way, I never borrowed any money from them. We were 100% debt-free. I had perfect credit. We had money in the bank. No issues, and the reason why I went to a big bank is because they have a lot of technology. We can download, QuickBooks and things like that, keep our books in line, by going through a big bank because they have the technology. So all of a sudden, I got a letter, a certified letter in the mail from SunTrust, and I opened it, and I was just shocked. I'm like, what? You can read the letter on my Facebook page, American Gun and Pawn, Brooksville, I posted the actual letter online. But they basically told me that I had within 30 days to close my account, so they're going to close them for me, and that within 10 days my debit card wouldn't be any good. Well, they wrote the letter on March 20th. I didn't get the letter until March 27th. So basically I had 3 days to use my debit card, etc. When you read the letter, it's really vague as to why. It just says we continually review accounts, and basically they said that I didn't meet their corporate business objectives. There was never any specific as to why. They wanted me to close my checking account. So I was fuming, and I said, for sure somebody's trying to rip me off. Somebody must have sent me this letter, an error or something or another. Let me just call the bank in the morning. So the next morning I called. Lady looks at my account and goes, well, everything's fine. There's no issues. I go, well, who's this person that wrote me the letter? She goes, well, you have to call back at 9, because I called like 8. She said, call back at 9, and we'll see if that person works here. Long story short, I call back at 9. Lady picks up, and she looks up her name and says, well, yeah, she works here. She works in a regulatory compliance department. So then I'm like, well, what does that mean? Oh, you got one. She goes, you got one of the gun letters that are going out to gun and pawn shops, is what she said.
That's interesting.
Kind of
a gun
person.
letter. Yeah, this was from Quanisha Neal. She's a regulatory exception processing specialist, too. I've got your letter right here. It says, there are circumstances where we will identify a specific account relationship that no longer meets these criteria. These criteria being SunTrust continuously reviews its products, markets, and clients' relationships to ensure that we are able to provide the best possible client service while also meeting our corporate business objectives. So I guess part of their corporate business objectives is to get rid of gun and pawn dealers.
Yeah, I guess so. They wouldn't really give me a response after that. I had left a message, called people. I've yet to get a phone call from SunTrust since. Obviously we've stirred up the pot. Because I told the lady, you messed with the wrong person, because I'm telling everybody. I went on, I posted the page. We got 150,000 hits right now. We had a protest yesterday in Citrus County and Panama City, and then next Friday we have over 300 people going to protest in front of SunTrust Bank to all about the Second Amendment and protecting our rights, etc. It's just completely unacceptable. Somebody's got to stand up for this, because I'm a law-abiding business. I got 2 federal licenses, and I can't have a checking account at SunTrust.
But you were able to rearrange your account relationship. What did you do? Did you go to another bank?
Yeah, I went to a small town bank, and I've got flooded with offers from small town banks saying, "Hey, we'll take you, no problem."
Well, this letter's ominous.
There's one more thing to the story, right? So I knew this was going to happen, but I have Bank of America accounts. I've had them for 25 years, so personally. And I called that same day, talked to Bank of America, told them what happened, said, "Hey, can you sign me up for a business account?" And they go, "Yeah, no problem. You've been with us a long time. You got an Advantage account, whatever." So they take me 2 hours on the phone, going on the information, said, hey, we should have that activated by Monday, whatever. So later that night, I got an email from Bank of America saying, sorry, we cannot open a deposit account. And they actually displayed why. They said that the type of business that I run, that is not acceptable.
This is just amazing. Now, this letter's pretty ominous because this is from Quanisha Neal. It says, we respectfully request that you immediately begin closing all of your SunTrust deposit accounts, safe deposit boxes, and credit cards by 4/20/2015. This begs the question: what is your volume of business as it relates to guns and ammo? I mean, if you had to say, is that a big part of your business? Is it a small part?
It's 80%.
Okay.
Of my business. Most of my business is guns and ammo.
What's your political affiliation?
Oh, I'm diehard conservative, and I'm boisterous about it.
Have you ever?
I tell people about it. I'm pro Second Amendment. I'm pro conservative values.
Well, listen. These are American values. The Second Amendment is one of the rights that we that we protect. What have you ever been involved in a Tea Party?
No, not really. I mean, I speak about it. I don't get involved in going to rallies. So this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. I mean, I wouldn't be one that would do a picket or a protest per se. But I think it's so important, and my customers are just they're livid about this. I mean, this is a small town and one of the oldest cities in Florida, and they are not happy about this. And I've had hundreds of people come here and say they closed their accounts. And bottom line is, I think that's what. I mean, I'm not going to tell people what to do. They can make their own decisions, but something's got to happen to these companies that are taking our rights away. They can't just keep doing this. And I don't know if it's choke point. I don't know. I think it probably is after reading about this and seeing all the details. It probably is. But the bank has this choice. And if they were pressured, then they need to do something about it. They're a publicly held company backed by the federal government, but yet they can discriminate against my business. I mean, I don't understand that. How is that even legal in this country?
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
as Napolitano was saying, if they tried to pass laws like this through the Congress, it wouldn't be legal. They'd never make it through. So you've got a situation where the FDIC is pressuring banks like SunTrust to come in and do what they can't get done in the Congress, which is shut down legitimate businesses like gun and pawn dealers.
Yeah. You know what they did is they came back after I've had Channel 8. We were on Fox News. They actually ran like a 30-second blip and went all over the country, and then all the newspapers have been picking it up. But, most of the news channels around here did not pick it up, and I know why. I think they didn't pick it up because they're in bed with SunTrust, because a lot of them do advertising and everything else. I mean, you're not going to bite the hand that feeds you, right? So a lot of them aren't running it. But anyway, they came back to Channel 8 because Channel 8's been on it. 8 on your side. She's got all kinds of reports on it. She's reported like 7 times, and she's digging down deep and talking to congressional leaders, et cetera. She's trying to get to the bottom of this. But they finally came back and said it was because of the pawn business. So then I called the news crew back and I said, okay, well, if it's because of the pawn business, there's 19 gun dealers in our county. 14 of them are pawn and gun shops. The 5 are just about out of business. They're regular gun dealers. And then what pawn shop doesn't sell guns? Hello? They all do. So, they don't like the fact that we, deal in coins, that we get people loans when the banks won't. I mean, that's the other thing that people don't realize. They got to pay their light bill. The bank's not giving them money.
That's
right.
What I mean?
So there's a service to be provided to the community. But anyway, regardless, most of all the gun dealers in our county are all pawn shops. So in essence, if you're closing a pawn shop's account, you're also closing a gun shop's account.
Well, that is the whole idea. The gun control enthusiasts in Washington know that they can't infringe the Second Amendment, so they're not going to be able to get legislation to ban all guns, although they have been successful in banning some and some types of ammunition. But they can't ban everything. Now, do you retail new guns, in other words, guns that you get via a wholesale channel?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, we've got 440 guns in stock. We've got, we have a full-fledged gun shop here. I mean, we don't have Class 3 or nothing, but it's all, semi-automatics, pistols, rifles, et cetera.
Well, I want to send listeners to your website. Do you have a website they can go to?
Yeah, it's AmericanGunandPawn.com. We have free shipping to the store. We also can ship ammunition and accessories to their home, and if it's legal in their state. And then, of course, firearms can be shipped to their FFL dealer for a background check. And
Steve, what's next for you and your business now that this happened to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a new bank. They seem to be very friendly. I hope, and this is a fear, I guess. that if they're pressuring these banks, all the big banks, then will the little banks be next? And then what? You know, and what really baffles me is that wouldn't the federal government want to know where my money's at? Why would they want to close down my checking account? I mean, I don't understand that. I mean, because I could operate cash if I had to, but then that would be difficult. So they just make it difficult for us. So why wouldn't you want us to have a checking account? I mean, I still don't know that answer.
Well, I think most people know the answer. The answer is they're trying to thwart your business and make things difficult because they know that they can't get legislation through to prevent people from owning firearms. And it amazes me that we live in a country that has the tradition of firearm ownership, and yet we've got elected people that we've elected attempting to thwart that Second Amendment. And the only thing I can say to it is, know your congressman, know your senator, because if you don't, you may find yourself in the crosshairs or your business in the crosshairs.
I'm baffled by it. And, you know, if you look at, I mean, I'm going to get into a whole bunch of other stuff, but if you look at the crime statistics in like an area like ours, there's virtually no crime, but everybody has a gun. Every single body, every person that walks in here, everyone that has a house in this area, they all have guns. You know, and we're just a rural community that's, you know, a couple hundred years old, the city, you know, and they, you know, they're proud of their heritage and their gun ownership. And, you know, I got a lot of business that way. And I'm hoping, you know, it's helped my business a little bit because they're coming to support. So I thank God that the community's coming forward and helping us out. But just because I got a new bank don't mean I'm going to let this slide. So that's why, you know, Friday at 4 p.m. at the SunTrust on 41 in Brooksville, we're doing a protest there. And like I said, we've got over 300 people already. Just a peaceful protest up front, pro-Second Amendment, pro-small business, to let this bank and others know that it's not acceptable.
Steve Champion, thank you for coming on. American Gun and Pawn. I wish you the absolute best, and please keep up providing weapons to the populace, my friend.
All righty, thank you.
All right, when we come back, I've got another gun dealer that's experienced the same thing. SunTrust Bank, shutting down bank accounts, credit accounts, etc. You know, this bureaucratic despotism can't continue. Stay tuned. You're listening to Forrest Wilson, AM 600, FM 100.3, The Resistance.
Let's return to We the People with Forrest Wilson. Once again, here's Forrest.
Okay, we're back. You know, one thing I forgot to do, and very important, Bob Wolf set in for me for the last two shows, our producer, Bob Wolf. I just want to thank Bob for doing that. I really needed a little bit of time to take care of some personal affairs, and Bob was there, man. Thank you, Bob. Our website, wethepeople1787.org, wethepeople1787.org. I hope you visit us on the web. If you want to call in and talk about this Operation Choke Point, give us a call, 904-222-TALK, 904-222-8255. And what we've been talking about is the rise of the fourth branch of the federal government, the administrative branch. And what we're experiencing is bureaucratic despotism. I mean, that's the only thing that you could call it. This is much worse than socialism, communism, or any other ism, bureaucratic despotism. In 2014, 3,291 pages of new laws were passed by Congress, the branch of the government with the constitutional authority to make law. During the same period, the administrative state issued 79,066 pages of new and updated regulations outside of our Congress, outside of your representation. You know, it's almost impossible to have a republic. We're not a democracy, we're a republic, a constitutional republic. It's almost impossible to have one when you've got an administrative state, this fourth branch of the government, literally making laws outside of the Congress. And, you know, 2/3 of the population, according to Pew, can't even name the three branches of government. How on God's green earth do we have a republic? You don't. So whatever you do, inform your knucklehead neighbor what's happening in this country. You've got to understand that there's three branches of government and now a fourth, an administrative branch, not that we ever voted on. And one of the things that they're doing is this Operation Choke Point. This is an effort by Eric Holder and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation and other agencies of the federal government to shut down the firearms industry by cutting off credit from gun dealers and eliminating credit card processing for the Second Amendment community. I mean, this is stunning. It's stunning to me. It can't go on. It shouldn't go on. Now, there is some legislation before the Congress. I don't know the status of it, but you can call your elected representative and find out. I mean, this particular piece of legislation would stop Operation Choke Point. It would stop Eric Holder and his minions in their track. I want to bring in somebody else who has experienced this. This is a gentleman who's got 2 locations, gun and pawn shops in South Carolina, Inman and Lyman, South Carolina, Inman Gun and Pawn and Lyman Gun and Pawn. His name is Morris Williams, and Morris has experienced firsthand SunTrust Bank and what they did with his accounts. I want to bring him in now. Jack, which line is Morris on? Is he on 6? Okay, here we go. Morris Williams, welcome to the Resistance. How are you, sir?
Thank you. I appreciate you calling, and I appreciate you guys bringing this to the forefront in Florida. It's very important.
I want you to tell me, Morris, exactly what happened to you and your 2 locations there in Inman, South Carolina, and Lyman, South Carolina.
Well, this happened last year, and what we received, just like so many shops are continuing to receive, just out of the blue, received a letter from the bank, from SunTrust, informing us that we had 30 days to get our accounts moved, closed, regardless, and so of course, the first thing you do is to call your local branch. They gave you an 800 number. I did call that 800 number. The 800 number, could provide us nothing. The only thing the 800 number provided in the letter from SunTrust Corporate could tell us was that we had been deemed an inappropriate business, and they could tell us nothing else. They would not tell us who had made that decision. I asked for, a name and a phone number, wouldn't give us that. I asked for an email if they wanted to remain more anonymous so that I could, email and get information as to exactly how this decision had been made. Would not provide an email. So they gave me an 800 number, but the 800 number provided no information other than, the decision was final and, you're through with this bank. So at that point, I called our local branch, which we had an excellent relationship with, our branch, first name basis with the branch manager, first name basis with, 90% of the staff, and, they were all, the folks at the branch level are just, excellent folks. They're folks working for a living just like you and I do. So it's, I'd like to point that out as people are, getting upset about this, as we all should. The person at the teller at that branch level is not the person making its decision. They're not the ones that, we need to be upset with. It's a much higher level situation. But anyway, I contacted the branch manager. The branch manager said he would call and see what he could find out. He, of course, was told to be vague. He provided no information either.
Well, Morris, I got a hold of one of these letters, and I did call, in fairness to SunTrust, and I spoke to a woman there, very nice. She confirmed the letter. This was the letter that went to American Gun and Pawn down here in Brooksville, Florida. And I said to her, look, what's going on? She says, well, we're closing the accounts of pawn shops, payday lenders, and money servicers because we deem them as high risk. Now, we know now through this Operation Choke Point that this is really the work of the FDIC, and they are shaking down SunTrust in an effort to thwart people like yourself.
Oh, exactly. You are 100% correct, and it is the intro that you made just a moment ago is the perfect opportunity for us to inform. You emphasize the word inform. We, just about everyone listening to your show and that we talk with on a daily basis in our shops, they're conservative folks. They believe in the Second Amendment. Those are not the folks that we have to convince. It is our neighbors that don't see what's going on. They may be good people, and for whatever reason, they're either, it may be apathy, they may not care. Or then again, it could be that they do care, but they care about other causes. But this situation really is the prime opportunity for us as concerned conservatives to inform our neighbors about what's going on for one big reason. There is no one in this country that can sit back and say that the FDIC should have the authority to go in and shut down a legal business. Okay, I am a pawn shop. I am a gun shop. Number one, if you don't think, if the citizens of this country think that pawn shops should be out of business, then the citizens of this country need to vote for that. It needs to go through the proper legislation, and the citizens of this country can vote for their leaders and say, okay, pawn shops need to go away. If the citizens of this country decide that, shut them down. We don't want that business.
Well, Morris, I think what we're experiencing is bureaucratic despotism. This is the fourth branch of government. And I was talking earlier about 2/3 of our citizens can't even name the three branches. This thing is really under the radar, this fourth branch of government, this administrative state that we're living in, this bureaucratic despotism. I have to ask you, your relationship with SunTrust was for how long?
Oh, I opened my business at the end of 2006, and they closed us down last year, 2014. So we had an 8-year relationship, and they weren't denying us credit. They weren't denying us a credit card.
Any issues with SunTrust? I mean, did you have NSFs or anything that would cause them to do that?
We had a great relationship. Absolutely no reason to shut us down. Had money in the bank. These were not loans that they were afraid weren't going to be paid. These were deposit accounts. We were putting money in the bank. The money was in the bank, and we removed, literally thousands of dollars of money from their bank when they told us to do this.
Well, what was the volume of your firearms business? In other words, how much of it, what percentage of your business is firearms?
It's a large volume. Yeah. We are a very large gun dealer in our mind. So compared to the Cabela's and the Bass Pro Shops, we're not large, but it's probably 70% of our business. And
you also sell new guns, correct?
That is correct. Oh yeah. Of that 70%, probably another 80% of that's all new.
And if I can, Morris, what's your political affiliation? Because I think I'm seeing a pattern here. What is your political affiliation?
Oh yeah, we're definitely Trey Gowdy, who is one of the few that's actually standing up. We're in Trey Gowdy's district. So we're big supporters of the Republican Party. We're big supporters of Trey Gowdy.
Do you go to Tea Party type functions?
So we've had a couple, but not enough to probably jump out on the forefront and say that we would be a target. I don't think it was us specifically. At the same time they closed us, it was a very calculated approach. They closed another gun and pawn shop about 30 miles away from us in one direction. They closed another one about 30 miles in another direction. So they closed approximately 5 or 6 within a 200-mile radius at the same time, but enough to probably get out of one politician's district into another.
Right. Now, how long did it take you to get another bank relationship?
We had the actual banking relationship. We were able to move over to another bank immediately. They were thrilled to have us. It is a small bank, only about 30 branches, and they have just done everything they can to take care of us. and another one of the smaller banks, actually came to us. We were asked by other smaller locations to come with them. A lot of folks don't realize SunTrust, probably has 1,500 branches. They're huge.
Well, having gone through this experience and knowing that you have been a target of Operation Choke Point, what's next for you and your business and your family?
Well, it brings us even more concern as to, and probably the reason that they are doing this is they want to make it to where the guys like us can't do business, where we're sitting back and thinking, okay, what's next? Do I need to get out of this business? Are they going to regulate me to the point that I will not be able to go forward as a viable business? And I think that's the goal. And, us hardheads like myself that say, well, okay, you'll have to take me out kicking and screaming. But then again, on the other side, you think, okay, my wife is in this. At the time, my son-in-law was in the business. Do I really want to force them into this highly legislated, disputed future where they're going to be targets every time they turn around? We did want to change credit card processors at one point in time. There are multiple credit card processors that will not do business if your firearms are more than 30% of your business. We also had an insurance company that would not do business with anybody that more than 30% of their business was firearms.
That's just amazing. Well, listen, I really want to thank you for coming on today. Morris Williams, do you have a website for your business?
We do not. We're on Facebook, both locations, Inman Gun and Pawn, and also Lyman Gun and Pawn. We do a lot through Facebook. But I would like to say one more word. This is the opportunity to talk to your neighbors and ask them, do they really think that this government needs to be able to do backdoor politics and shut down legal businesses? Nobody can answer yes to that. Nobody.
No, they sure can't. Well, listen, Morris, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate your time. And please, for liberty's sake, continue your business as a firearms provider.
Well, I appreciate your efforts in this, Forrest, and I wish the best to the dealers in Florida that are having to face this challenge also.
Excellent. Thank you again. Morris Williams. You're listening to AM 600, FM 100.3, WBOB, The Answer. If you want to weigh in on this very important topic, 904-222-TALK, 904-8255. Forrest Wilson, The Resistance. I'll be right back.
You're so young and pretty.
Let's return to We the People with Forrest Wilson. Once again, here's Forrest.
Okay, so we're talking about Operation Choke Point, AM 600, WBOB, The Answer. If you want to call in, 222-TALK, 222-8255, talk about Operation Choke Point. I never would recommend violent revolution, but one of the things you can do and should do is resist. I mean, that's the foundation of this great nation, is resistance, actually revolution, but don't do it yet. Look, there's a better way, and I've got good news. If you found your health care plan canceled or your employer dropping your plan due to the expense, or maybe you just can't afford Obamacare because your state did not set up an exchange, I've got a biblical alternative. That's right, Medishare. It's administered by Christians, not bureaucrats. Medishare, a program of Christian Care Ministry, is a health care sharing program whose members share financial resources to pay each other's medical expenses. Medishare isn't insurance. Resources are shared directly between members. Members of health care sharing ministries like Medishare comply with the Affordable Care Act and do not have to purchase health insurance or pay a penalty. Since 1993, Medishare members have shared more than $682 million in medical expenses. And because of its large network of providers, members have saved an additional $295 million in medical costs. Medishare was designed for Christians who agree on a specific set of biblical values and lifestyles. Look, go to mychristiancare.org, mychristiancare.org, and check it out for yourself. Or call 800-772-5623. 800-772-5623. Tell them Forrest Wilson sent you. I am not sponsored by MetaShare. I just want you to know that. I like these people. In fact, I love them. I'm a member. And the reason I do this is solely for you. MetaShare, mychristiancare.org, mychristiancare.org, 800-772-5623. Now, look, I want you to understand something. I don't have anything personally against SunTrust Bank. And I don't believe for a minute that this is something being perpetrated by SunTrust Bank. I think they're being shaken down because there's multiple victims of this Operation Choke Point. And this is very much a shakedown of SunTrust by the FDIC. I believe they're threatening SunTrust, a legitimate business, and using them to fight a proxy war against businesses they deem undesirable, gun and pawn dealers in particular, payday lenders, money servicers of all types. And this is really no different than Iran and their proxy wars in Gaza, Yemen, and other countries. I mean, think about it. They've turned SunTrust into the equivalent of Hezbollah. And the end victim, if you will, is your liberty, your Second Amendment. It shall not be infringed, but they've figured out a way through the administrative state to do just that, infringe your Second Amendment. If you want to call in and talk about this, AM 600 WBOB, dial 904-222-TALK, 904-8255. I've got a few minutes left. I've got a little bit of slack time to bring you in. And I just want to hear what you have to say about it. I mean, the rise of the administrative state, the fourth branch of government, something you have no input on. These unaccountable bureaucrats, they passed close to 80,000 pages of new rules and regulations in 2014 alone. And this isn't Barack Obama, by the way. He's just using this as an opportunity through Eric Holder in the Justice Department to thwart the Second Amendment. I want to bring in Bill. Bill, welcome to the Resistance.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you, sir? What's on your mind?
Not too bad. Yeah. Fox News did a couple of reports about this also, and of course the mainstream media has ignored it completely because they're complicit. But you know, disarming the public is how tyranny is able to grow and take over. You've got groups like Boko Haram who the reason why they were able to go into those places and execute those Christians and those people is because they know that those people are unarmed and they can't resist them.
Dead on. You are absolutely dead on. Gun-free zones. More people are killed in gun-free zones than any other area.
Yep. And so, I mean, you know, the old saying is that, you know, all that evil needs to prosper is for good men to do absolutely nothing. And that's what you've got going on right now. You've got this country doing absolutely nothing, and look at the evil that has prospered throughout the world during the last 8 years of this man's tenure.
No doubt, no doubt. When good men do nothing, that tyranny gains a foothold, without a doubt. Bill, I want to thank you for the call. I've only got a few seconds left. Actually, that's the end of the show. We're done. I hope you'll tune in next week, AM 600, WBOB, FM 100.3. You're listening to The Resistance with Forrest Wilson. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you so much.